You ready? I'm ready. You ready?
I was born ready.
How about you? Are you guys ready?
Are
Get
you
rolling.
ready?
Welcome
Yes.
to another Tuesday night chat with the Muskrat and Mr. Creole catfishing. What's going on, my Cajun brother?
Oh man, the river is up. The temperature is down. If I can catch me some days off of work, we gone. We gone.
Well, that's good to hear that you guys are getting some flow, getting some water. It's all coming from here because our river is dropping like.
Yeah.
That wasn't going to be appropriate. It's going down faster than.
Yeah.
The water levels are terrible.
Yeah, they're terrible.
We're losing about a foot or two of water a day at this point. So we're on a big fall in the river and a big fall in temperature at the same time. And that's why I'm going to blame our lack of success over the last couple of days, because we fished all day yesterday, caught 3 little fish. I fished all day today with my brother, and we got skunked.
When in doubt, blame it on the river. That's what I do.
And those of you that were so we jumped on J-Dog's live stream today, and those people that were there saw just how much running around I did trying to find something, bait, cover, structure, put those combinations together. I never marked fish today, catfish. Now, we had a lot of fish buried in mud yesterday.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really concerned whether I was going to mark any catfish or not, but just finding areas that had bait and cover, man, it was tough. So, and we'll get back to that in a moment, because I got a different game plan for tomorrow, and I'll explain why and how.
Ooh, okay, and that ties in perfectly with what we wanted to talk about. It really does.
That's it. But before we do that, we're up to 30 people in chat already, and 2 minutes into the show. So let's go back and say hello to some folks. It looks like Mr. Avid Fisherman was first one in the house tonight, followed by Greenwell Fishing, Trophy Seekers Outdoor, Harold Bolton's in the house, Big Wrench Catfishing, S&T Catfishing. What's going on, buddy? Jimmy Geiger's in the house. Jenna Tools is in the house. Harold Bolton. John. That's. Somebody. I just realized what happened.
Yeah.
John Boy's in the house. Hey, there's Brady. What's going on, buddy? Brady's in the house. Thanks for stopping in, buddy. Uptown Chrissy Brown. We got to see her today or talk to her a little bit on the live stream today. Miss Paula Smith is in the house. Hats off for Paula.
That's right.
Chad Fields is in the house. What's going on, brother? Thank you for taking time out to stop in and hang out with us. Big Wrench Catfishing, channel member in the house. Thank you, brother. As well as Chrissy Brown. I didn't mention that she's also a channel member helping out.
Right.
There's Miss Becca Mudtramp. She's been helping out with a couple of the live streams. She helped me all day yesterday on my live stream. Man, it makes it so much nicer to fish when somebody's
we made a few jokes at your expense while you were making one of your moves. I was bored, and you know how things happen when you're bored and the host is occupied, and you know how chat kind of gets away from things.
Paula says fishing is on fire here. Well, see you guys. I'm out.
Time to go.
Well, we got to represent Ohio River this weekend.
Yes, you do.
We'll come back to that in a minute. Tim Donna's in the house. Olin Howard, what's going on, everybody? Paul Boyd is in the house hanging out with us. El Gato Azul TV. What's going on?
What's happening?
My slime brother. Let's see. There's a lot of everybody saying hello to each other. So I'm trying to make sure I catch it.
Lance McCougar in the house. Let's see. Whoa. Oh, yeah, I was hot. Well, I got it. Guy just bailed at Walmart, not getting his groceries. He's been waiting since 2:30 this afternoon.
Oh my God.
And it's 7 p.m. my time. So
that's still.
Ooh, that is terrible. That is.
I would just go in and get it myself.
I imagine inside our Walmart is probably like everybody else's. You got 50,000 people with 2 checkouts open.
It's still gotta be faster than that. Chad said Becca loves space exploration. So we did have a little bit of astronomy yesterday on the show.
Yes. Yeah, we're just gonna leave that one alone.
Robert's in the house. Robert Lynn, what's going on, buddy? Ed Evans is in the house, man. Ed Evans had a fantastic showing this last weekend on the James River.
Cool.
Man, that's only the second time he ever fished that river, and he was able to locate fish and put fish in the boat and in quick order. That's so good. Hats off to Ed Evans. Very impressive. Of course, he's been impressive, but when you take a guy and put him on virgin waters that he's only been on one other time, and put him in a tournament and perform like he did, well done, brother. Well done.
Absolutely.
So, but I think we're caught up for right now. So we'll go ahead and there's Donald Long. What's going on, buddy? Thanks for stopping in. We'll go ahead and kind of jump into take over where we left off last week. So if you were here last week, you remember we were talking a lot about fast water. And, you know, as winter comes in, typically here our waters go up. Hey, there's Serena. Hello, Serena. Our waters go up, temperatures go down, and the most of the year or the most of the season, it's going to be fast water.
Yep.
And so we talked a lot about, you know, how to anchor your boat properly, you know, techniques to get your anchor to hold by, you know, taking some pressure off at the end, you know, tools we use, which is anchor balls, drift socks, which looks like everybody who was in here last week and got to jump on that deal has already got all their drift socks showed up. And so I did get some messages of people appreciating that, passing that deal on. And but hey, there's Mike Chavez, man. It's good to have him back, man. He's been popping in, and I know he's had his hands full, but man, it's good to see you back in the community and having a good time. So
I haven't chewed through one of my phone cases in a while, so it's about that time.
Yeah, you will. To our current right now, Greenwell is dropping. So I think once we got away from the dam, we was only running about 1.5. Over the dam, we was running about 2.5, 3. Paula says just 3 more treatments left. I may have this whooped. Heck yeah.
That is good news.
That is really good news, Paul. Seeing you've been getting out there and getting on it. May or may not have had to fire Ken or demote him.
Currently taking applications for a Joey.
So around here, you know, fast water is, well, I can't say much about fast water when I'm talking to Jeremy, right? Because his fast water, my fast water are entirely 2 different things.
But it is all relative, though. It's relative.
It is.
You know, y'all are still dealing with sometimes double the current speed that you normally deal with. And that'll still change those fish's patterns accordingly. You know, just because it's not as fast as what I deal with, it'll still make those fish behave similar to what my fish do.
Right. Because what they're used to is changing.
That's right.
So Greenwell's looking at 1.2 for tomorrow. I got to look at the pool I'm going to tomorrow. So I'm going to change things up tomorrow, and I'll kind of show you why here in a minute. But before we do that, I want to make sure we kind of finish up where we left off last week. And so we said we was going to talk about. There's Freddie. What's going on, man?
Ouch.
Look at.
Can't talk about my boss like that.
He's talking about. Hey, let me tell you, Freddie and J Dog put a bet out there for this Saturday. Whoever catches the bigger fish wins between the competition inside of them 2. The loser has to wear a T-shirt to CatCon. Freddie's shirt has to say, "I got bit by the dog." And J-Dog's shirt has to say, or wait a minute, maybe Freddie's shirt has to say something like, "My little rod wasn't big enough or good enough," or something like that. They got funny T-shirts going on. It's going to be interesting.
I like the sound of it.
It's going to make things interesting for sure.
I definitely like the sound of that. Definitely.
Carmel Muncie, what's going on? Wabash Nate's also in the house. Thank you guys for stopping in. But so Jeremy, what are some of the tricks that you use to get your bait down to where you need it to be? How do you keep your bait from getting all just piled up on top of each other in fast current? Because we both know that once you throw it out, it's going to get swept right behind the boat.
Yeah, a lot of times, one of the first things I have to decide is, well, how fast is the current, and realistically, how many rods can I even fish with? Without things going crazy. Anything over about 2 miles an hour, I usually go down to 4 rods. And what I'm doing when I'm throwing them out, my 2 rods off to the side, way off to the side of the boat, are usually a little bit closer. I don't throw those way out. One's usually, now in fast current, I can't drop it right behind the back of my boat. I'll just let it out, let the current take it where it's going to go, and let it sit there. The one to the other side, I may throw it just a little bit and let it go. My 2 center rods, I stagger the distances that I cast them out. I may cast one 60 to 80 feet, and I've usually got a habit. I'll take 1 rod and I will make a full cast about as far as I can go, way out the back of the boat, because for whatever reason, and I call that my long line. My long line always seems to catch me some fish, no matter what. I don't know why it works that way, but that long line always catches me a fish. So that's number one. It's always a decision on how much lead I'm going to use, which I use a lot of weight.
Right.
For the ones closer to the boat, I'm usually putting anywhere between 16 and 20 ounces on them to try to keep them a little closer to me.
Right.
The ones out the back, I want them to go a little bit, so I'll reduce that down to 8 or 10 ounces.
Right.
Like I said, I throw bigger weights than some guys do.
Right.
And
we were throwing 10 and 12 today.
Yeah, exactly. You go be throwing some lead.
We did get to a point where we were pretty far downriver, and the current was quite less significant. And we was throwing like 4 ounces.
Yeah.
But I was throwing stuff into heavy cover. I was launching baits right into a sunken barge. It was all busted up into pieces.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really planning on getting everything back, which I didn't. But
that's the way it goes. I know for us, when the current gets to a certain speed, and I think Roger and them are at that point now, you even have to pay attention to exactly how you hook your bait, especially with chunks of cut bait. Yep. There's certain little tricks that you don't want to do. Like I'm going to use a slicker head for an example, a big skipjack head. Some people love to run the hook in one nostril and out and have it sideways. But the problem is, in a lot of current, that little mouth is going to open, turn into a parachute, and I don't care how much weight you got. When you got enough current, it ain't going to hit bottom. And it's just like Roger said, it's going to do this and do this and do this.
Helicopter.
Very important to go under and come out. That way you've got a more streamlined bait. Cutting the gut pockets out of pieces of body section, I find that helps a lot in not catching that current and avoiding that spin. We've even gotten in a habit of just dropping the rig in the water before we cast it and watch it just for a second. Make sure it's not going to do nothing crazy before we throw it out there.
That right there is probably the most useful part, I think, of everything we've said so far. Is if you don't know what your bait's going to do once you drop it down in the water, it depends on your clarity, but drop your bait, just hold it down right next to the boat, get it, a foot below the surface, and you'll see if your bait's going to start twisting and turning.
Oh, yeah.
You want to hook that bait somehow different. Like Jeremy said, you may have to cut the gut pocket off. Let's all face it. You throw it out there, it's got a big juicy gut pocket in it, and you're like, yeah, that's really going to draw them in. As soon as it hits the water, it's washed away. Yeah, and now you have that round cavity that's just going to cause problems.
Yep.
I almost never leave the gut pocket on bigger baits, like a little shad or something maybe, but
yeah,
I cut those all off and do away with that, because you need the most natural presentation. You hear that term used all the time, you know, whether it's bumping and natural presentation going down the river, people dragging or dragging baits, you know, it's more natural to go with the flow of the river, or even on a lake scenario, you know, it's more natural to go with the wind or whatever, you know. So you're always looking for that natural presentation, and your bait going under the water doing this, that's not natural.
No. And plus, on top of that, you're twisting your rig up and just causing yourselves all kinds of unnecessary problems. Very, very unnecessary. I thought I saw a few other people come in. I see Mr. Douglas Fishing in the house. I see Brian B. See my boy Brian B's in the house. He has life. Jerry Parker with Parker Pursuits.
What's up, Jerry?
Fellas?
Appreciate you guys coming in.
Fishing with JBT in the house. Who timed Freddie out? Oh boy, that's funny. Hey, that's okay.
Okay. Yeah. So there is also that challenge out there that so a lot of the ladies are taking it upon themselves to start calling out some of the men for a challenge. Now, I believe this is going to take place in the springtime.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing.
The women are already calling their shots right now, who they want to take out. So you guys saw it first here last week. Miss Paula Smith called out Mr. Creole catfishing.
You better believe it.
If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. She had a lot to choose from. So I would consider that quite the compliment to get.
It is. I mean, I'm honored. I'm absolutely honored. A hair, you know, a hair nervous. Not gonna lie. Yeah, that's a tall order right there. That's yeah, it's gonna be quite the challenge. But that's what I love. I love a challenge.
That's right. We got Haz Life in the house. What's up, Haz? Man, those guys have been on a roll, man. If you guys didn't see the last video of them guys for their tournament catching that, man, that video was so action packed. I think you guys were up to like 30 fish. I'm like, this is ridiculous. But I mean, what a good time to have. We've had a few days like that, but they definitely stick in the memory bank for quite a while.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. So one of the other things. And this is a little unorthodox, and you can't use this next technique unless you're in some current, you know, as only about the only speed I would really recommend this, and that is planer boards. Now down here, at times we will use planer boards to keep our lines spread apart, so everything doesn't go cluttered up behind the back of the boat. You don't have to use 12, 16 ounces of weight to throw it over there. We will use planer boards and sometimes either suspend a bait under the planer board and then send it out, or sometimes you could just throw the line out and then send a planer board out there, and it's just going to kind of keep your bait over there. You know, it's not going to get piled up right behind the boat. So you can cover a wider area. Now, the only thing I'll tell you about doing that is the clips that you use. I would recommend using the clips that do not pop off. So like I like Scotty clips, and I will run them, but I wouldn't really recommend it to somebody that hasn't tried it yet, because if you do get hung up or break off, your board's going downriver, and now you got to reel in everything and go get it.
Yep, that's right.
You use some of the clips that lock into place, or have the little nipple on them that you put the line behind it that keeps it from sliding out. Then you can get away with that. But even from a anchored position or spot lock position, you could still use a planer board to help do the exact same thing you do when you're dragging baits, which is, you know, get that spread, you know, get that bait covered out there and cover some more real estate. So that's a technique that we have. We don't use it a lot, but it's a good option to have in the back of your mind if you're in a situation like, oh yeah, you know, let me try to get this out there. Well, let me ask you this: when it comes to rigs, do you change your leader length? Do you change the? Hey, I haven't seen him in here for a long time. I'm going to stop right here. Catfishing with Cahoon. That's Willie Cahoon. What's up, buddy,
Willie.
man? Long time no see, man. I hope everything's going good your way. And Maurice Cason's in the house too, by the way. We missed him.
Oh, Maurice.
Shoot, I got
leader length.
Yeah. So fast current. Do you change your leader length?
Actually, no, I don't. I don't change my leader length very much just because of current speed. I'll change it because of a temperature change. Because I'll run it. Well, essentially, I'm kind of always fishing fast current. So my leader length doesn't change very much. I run anywhere between 18 to 24 inches. More on the 24-inch side for probably 8-9 months of the year. Then my couple of months of cold weather, I'll shorten it up to 16, 18. But other than that, no, my leader length does not change just because of current speed. Now, I don't use them really at all anyway. But what would change on a leader is anybody that uses, especially the Demon Dragon style floats in heavy current. A lot of times they don't do all that well because they tend to want to make your rigs, in any kind of float, to be honest with you, whether it's a peg float or anything, in really heavy current. First thing that's going to happen is that current's going so fast, it's going to pin that leader to the bottom anyway. It doesn't matter how much float you put, it's going to pin it to the bottom. Okay, it's not going to help anything. And when it pins it, it's going to make your rig do this. It's just going to twist everything. So, fishing heavy currents, leave the floats at home.
So here's something I would love to know more about, and it would probably change the way we fish. If I knew exactly what the bottom of the, am I freezing up?
Every now and then, but it's holding up pretty good.
I don't know what's going on here. Let me get my phone at least off the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
That wasn't on it. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, leader length doesn't really matter. It's going to push it down. But what I would really love to know is that bottom contour, that bottom foot, 2 foot, with all the rocks and jagged, how much flow is actually moving down there? Is the current really kind of zipping over top, and the structure and all the contours at the bottom breaking things up? Is there really even that much flow moving on the very bottom? Or is it very stirred up or very different depending on where it's at? Because, you drop down the hole and there's going to be a little bit of this going on in that hole. And I guess if we could have a camera that went clear down to the very bottom, and we could set it on the bottom and see how fast things are going by. We may all be wrong about exactly what's going on. We might think that our baits are down there just helicopter, but they may be laying dead on the bottom untouched. You know what I mean?
It just depends on exactly what the contour, because there's no such thing as a perfectly flat bottom. There's no such thing. If you're fishing like in a river, if you're fishing some sand flats, you're going to have these little ripples, and it may not be very tall. It may be 12 inches tall. It's got little ripples. It may be rocks. It may be who knows what on the bottom. It's not flat. I promise you it's not perfectly flat.
Yeah, so I guess, it's one of the silly things, you just sit there and think about. It's like, because when I'm sitting there and I put my bait on, I'm trying to imagine what it's doing down there. Of course, I'm imagining a big fish coming up and grabbing a hold of it or something. But, I'm wondering what really is going on in that very bottom foot to 2 foot that my bait is in. What does it really look like down there? So I don't know. I would assume that, it's going to be all variable depending on speed, height of the humps and dips and, all that kind of stuff. But I guess it would be interesting to know more about it.
You're always going to have something. Now, the only exception I'll say to that rule, if you're fishing close enough to a dam that you're still in the flat slab where the stilling basin is, okay, that would be an example of something perfectly flat, but that's not natural either. That's man-made.
So if it's rocky, it would work like a sluice box for gold mining. Right behind the rocks or dips, the water swirls.
Yeah.
Freddie says, trust me, I dive in current mining. Well, there you go. Now, I don't know, if you're down on the very bottom, if it's, I guess I'm really concerned about what the flow is on that very bottom 12 inches. If it's swirling, if it's kind of calm, and the current, zipping overhead once you get your bait down to that point. So why do you think fish stack up in deep holes? Well, I know that things, settle and swing by and there's calmer areas, but I'm talking about in general, like not talking about a deep hole, but just in general, you're throwing your bait out like us. We do the swing rod thing, right? And so wondering what is really going on down through there. Is the bait being pulled by the current, or is the bait being pulled because the line going to the bait is being pulled by current?
Yeah. Exactly. But at any time that fish is trying to hide from that current, they're trying to, they don't want to work so hard to stay in that fast current. So they'll tuck behind something, whether it be a little hump or a piece of structure or anything. They'll get just out of it to get in that little slower water.
That's right. Squirrels Magnet Fishing and Outdoors. Welcome. Thanks for stopping in.
That's how hard there was. Yeah, I backed up a little bit. I run just a little heavier than what I need, just a little bit. Let's just say 8 ounces could keep it on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and run 10 because, some places that I fish, the current tends to vary just a little. If I barely have enough to hold it down, well, that can change and all of a sudden lift my rig off the bottom. So I'm going to use a little more than I need. Besides, my general attitude is if that fish cannot lift that 10-ounce lead off the bottom when he bites my bait, I probably don't want him.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I am with it. If he can't lift that lead, and if he's going to be that picky about it, then he can't be very big. Generally, I don't hit weight shy fish very much.
I don't know. They're famous. I know that 70-foot holes are now famous.
They are.
You drop your bait in them, you see what happens.
It's funny. It's a big coincidence because there's a big drop off below that hydro dam that I love bumping in, and when that slope finally bottoms out, average it's about in 70 foot of water, and I've caught a lot of fish in it. Go figure. I know what he's referring to though.
So let me see if I can get this bigger than that.
Oh, check that out, Roger.
Hey, my mama's in the house. Hey, Mom, I love you. She was tuned in yesterday. Actually, I had the whole family tuned in yesterday while we was live. My brother and my sister. Of course, today my brother joined me on the river. But here's kind of what we're dealing with, right? So, make excuses and all that about what's going on the river. But if you guys can see this right here, this is basically what we're dealing with. Let me see if I can get this to go. Go full screen so you can see. So river's dropping, in the last, was this 3-4 days? So we're losing about 1 to 2 foot a day, and it's going to continue that downward trend. So right now on my pool, this is the pool I've been fishing the last 2 days. We've got a big drop in water, a big drop in water levels. And we've also got a big drop in temperature. So we're down to 45 degrees as of right now on the river in this pool. So let me see here. Poop. So I've decided I gotta try to find some fish. I gotta try to see what's going on. So what can I do? What can I change? Well, I can't change the water temperature, or can I? I can.
No.
Yes, I can.
You can change. Yeah, well, you can change what that stage is doing by going somewhere else.
Yep. So
you better believe it.
The next pool I'm going to go to, if you see, it's deadline consistent, and this is one of the pools on the Ohio River that has a lot of businesses and houses right on the river that does not change much. They will let the other pools fluctuate up and down, but they do not let some of these pools hardly move at all. And so I cannot control the level because it's dropping. I can go to another pool that maintains consistency. And
that's right.
And those of you that follow along long enough know that consistency. Hey, Zach's in the house. What's up, brother?
What's going on, Zach?
Consistency is generally the key to success when it comes to catfish. It doesn't matter if it's low, as long as it's been low. It doesn't matter if it's high, as long as it's been high. You know, our kind of rule of thumb is like 3 days. As long as it's been whatever it's doing, as long as it's been doing it for 3 days, the fish should start to feed. Well, this pool is level and has been for days, weeks. The temperature, there happens to be a warm water discharge on this pool. Now I can find warmer water and I can find consistent flow. So tomorrow I'm changing up my plan and I'm going to go fish a pool that is a love-hate relationship. It'll either make me hate it even more when I leave, or it'll put some trust back into the water. Because I used to fish this area quite a bit, and I had quite a bit of success.
And some of y'all that may be a little newer to some of the stuff we talk about, the reason we talk about consistency and things like that, you have to back up just a little to what I'll call one of these epicologies that epic catfish has taught all of us. The catfish's brain is like having 3 light bulbs with its own switch, but only one can be on at a time. You turn one switch on, another one goes off. Those 3 switches are comfort, which equals safety and surviving, food, and reproduction. That's it. And you can only have one. It will not do 2 things at once. All they do is react. So the reason we look for consistency, whether it be river level or temperature or weather conditions or anything, the fish will react to those changes. Well, if they're reacting, trying to get comfortable, they ain't worried about the other 2 anymore. They're harder to catch. When you have consistency and they're comfortable, now their next priority is going to be food. Then you're going to catch active fish. That's why we're so adamant about, especially these big swings, these big temperature swings, these big current swings, river level swings, weather swings. The catfish are going to be too busy reacting to the change to worry about feeding. That's the basic of why we concern ourselves so much with these things.
And that is epicology.
Yep, that is epicology. Yes.
Yeah, and that was very well said and very easy to visualize, and at least to me it was.
Thank you.
So because I cannot change in my pool what's happening to the water, which is dropping temperature and dropping level, 2 days in a row. Now, that being said, Zach went out Sunday. Zach is a machine. Zach went out Sunday and put some big fish in the boat by himself. He caught a 51, a 32, and a something else. I think he had 97 pounds and 3 fish on Sunday. And Skip and I went out on Monday. You guys seen what happened. We was live all day. We got 3 little fish. We moved all over the place and tried different things. Today, same thing. I tried lots of different things today. Suspend drifting. I drifted for a good ways. No bites. I went to the dam. I tried to look at the dam. I didn't mark fish. I hardly found bait. I did finally find bait. We set up on bait. No fish. I mean, those of you that was watching J-Dog's live stream today seen just how much running and scanning I did today to try to find, locate, and get on some fish. And even when we found some fish, we still couldn't make them bite. So it was a rough day. But
yeah, and that's a lesson right there. Marking fish is one thing. Getting them to eat is a whole different story. And there's nothing more frustrating than marking those fish and you can't get them to do nothing. That oh man.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah,
happens.
we marked a lot of fish today. They were the wrong colors. They were not this. They were not. They were all scaled. Most of them were scaled fish. We marked a few catfish here and there, but just like yesterday, the fish we did catch were covered in mud. Like Creole said earlier, he's never even seen a catfish with mud over the top of his back.
No, I've never seen that before.
Mm-hmm. The fish we've got right now are seem to be really hunkered down tight to the bottom, and yeah, Zach says it right there. They don't eat all the time. One of the things that Epic says is like a 3-day bite window. They feed heavy for a day, and they come back around and start feeding again in 3 days. If I don't know if that's true or not, but it's a theory that would make me feel better. They just won't. They weren't eating the last 2 days I was fishing.
If somebody who consistently catches bigger fish than me has a theory, I'm going to listen.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. I will not argue with any of that. I had somebody send me some pictures, and I'm setting it up on my side screen here.
I got you. Has said them pigs are rolling around in the mud.
Yeah, exactly. Not Miss Missy. I told her about the tournament, and she's basically said she's like, I will let you have at it, because she'd have to have my boat anyway. So
Cat Tucky said they were out fishing today where we were. They kind of updated, throughout the day. Said they scanned it all today, marked a lot of catfish, but they were stubborn. They only ended up with 3 fish, but they did not have any mud on them. So, that's right. We're moving around like me, Roger. Thought I was watching myself fish.
Somebody send me an interesting picture here. Let's see.
Who did?
Freddie sent me a couple of pictures, and it very much pertains to what we're talking about. Why did it not let me do that?
Well, somebody who has been diving in a river is going to have the very best information exactly related to what we're talking about.
And talking about these fast water situations. This is one of them right here. Okay, you see this current. Let me see if I can get us. Yeah, you still see that. There we go. You see this current passing over this rock, and you kind of see what the current tends to do on the downstream side of the rock. So you can see. Can you see my mouse moving on the screen?
Yeah.
How about that? Okay. So basically, what's going to happen when a fish is going to try to hide from this current? They're going to be tucked down. See, right in this area here, where that current is kind of passing over their heads. Let's say you're going to have a couple of fish. They're going to tuck down just like this, and then also where you see this current breaking back over and slowing down again, you're going to have a couple on this backside here too. But an active position would be here, or even up a little higher, right behind that rock where that current's going over their heads. That's the kind of structure and setup where bumping shines, if you can do it, if the water temperature is right, because you're literally hitting them right in the nose with that bait.
Patriot James in the house. What's up, James Smith? So that's one of the things that it's always been on the back of my mind, and I know I've said it before, I believe, but why bumping doesn't work in cold water is like, but if the fish are kind of, they never go really dormant, especially blues, but if they kind of, lackadaisical about wanting to feed, they're going to put themselves in prime opportunity positions, and they have to be smart about what they do. If they just run their guts out all the time trying to chase food, they would have to eat nonstop. But if they conserve energy, and take easy meals when they can, then they can sustain their weight and maintain healthiness. Because you got to remember, when the water cools down, so does the digestive system in the catfish's stomach. So the acids and everything that goes on in there that breaks all the food down and makes them hungry again happens at a much slower rate in cold water. So they don't have to eat nearly as often, and they don't have to eat nearly as much because they stay fuller longer. And then the other way they can control that is controlling their movements.
That's right.
If you only had so much to eat or whatever, you don't feel like out, running your guts out for it. It's the same thing here. They're gonna try to conserve their energy, take easy meals when they can, and then that leads me to this: if they're trying to do that, I just feel like, well, why wouldn't bumping be the best time to take the bait right to their face when they don't want to move much? And it's like, I don't know. The fact remains that it doesn't seem to be a very productive technique. Like Zach, I said earlier, you can't argue with results. Nope. I don't know if it's because nobody does it or if nobody has results, so they just don't do it. But it's always been in the back of my mind, like, man, why wouldn't that be a prime time to try to put baits in front of fish faces when they're not wanting to feed it, aggressively?
Yeah. Well, I know I can only speak for me and my area and what goes on. One of my favorite bumping areas, I noticed that when the water temperatures hit about that line, which everybody kind of agrees is about 50 degrees or so, that you may want to put the bumping rods up. A lot of my fish, especially the bigger ones, they kind of move out from below that hydro. Okay. I honestly believe it's because it's a constant fast current. Their metabolism is slower, therefore they're slower. They just can't tolerate that constant fast current during the winter like they do the rest of the year. They look for more the wintering holes than what I call an active feeding location. We always said about that hydro, if they're there for one reason and one reason only, that's to eat. They ain't there for nothing else, because that's the only reason they're going to stay there, because it's harsher conditions for them. It's a lot of currents, a lot of stuff going on right there. Now, I have bumped in water colder than 50 degrees. For a while, one of my previous PBs was caught in 46 degrees of water bumping. But what I did is I slowed my boat down way slower than half the speed of the current and used a lot more lead than I would normally use.
Right.
My boat was probably crawling back at 0.3, 0.4 miles an hour, maybe, in 4-mile-an-hour currents. In fact, the current was ripping around the boat so fast, I had to use my big motor at idle to help my trolling motor out to slow me down. And I was bumping with 12 ounces of lead.
I get ready to say 12 ounces. I was like, you bumping 12 ounce cannonballs, weren't you?
I had 12 ounces of lead, and I was still 200 feet behind the boat. Yep.
Me and Zach know all about that. Before we learned, just let the boat go faster. We were trying to bump 8 and 10 ounce cannonballs down the Mississippi. But so Mike Greenwell said, he had bumped last December, and he did well, at least that day. The river was rising, and it was a cloudy day. So I'm curious if you did any more bumping after that, if you had any more results, or if it's just a one-hit wonder one day that worked. Because to me, it just feels like if they're just kind of, putting themselves in primary opportune places to feed, bringing the bait right to their face seems like a good idea.
Yeah. I think the reason is it's not that bumping wouldn't work. You just have to commit to doing it differently. And I think you have to bump in places that you normally wouldn't bump. You don't see people bumping on the backside of a point where an eddy is in 80 feet of water in a wintering hole, because that spot lends itself to anchor fishing.
Zach, you misspelled I. It's we. Unless we're splitting up on Friday, everybody put their boat in somewhere different and see who comes up with the best results going into Saturday. Because I can tell you right now, at least me and Skip did not help the decision on this pool any in the last 2 days. But the river came sky high, so I moved down to the Green River, anchored the rest of the year, caught flathead on December 30th. There you go. Yeah, it can happen. Where I'm going tomorrow, the Canal River, which a lot of people have heard of. Chris
Mm-hmm.
Bowder's kind of made that
Yep.
river famous for.
Yep.
Especially for flatheads. You can catch flatheads in that river all year long, and I don't know why. It's not got warm water. It's not got any spectacular anything to it, but for some reason, flatheads seem to stay active in that river all year long.
Interesting.
Hey, Paula, good night. Thank you for stopping
Paula.
in. I hope you're feeling all right. We'll catch up with you soon.
Yep. I know something that Epic has said, over and over and over again, and some of my techniques for the winter fishing and then some of the fast water fishing too is kind of the same thing, is that the fish has a detection zone that it knows the bait is there.
Yep.
And then it's got a strike zone. The detection zone doesn't necessarily change that much. The strike zone, however, changes dramatically. In extreme situations, I find in really fast current situations and during the winter, it's almost the same thing. That strike zone shrinks a lot.
Yeah.
And for two totally different reasons. In fast currents, I find the fish's strike zone shrinks a lot because they don't want to get out of that comfortable position and get in that fast water. And in some cases, if you're on a river rise, with fast water all comes a lot of trash in the water.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to get in that. So their strike zone is very narrow because they just don't want to move very much. They're comfortable. If they move 2 feet any direction, they're going to be in fast water. They don't want that. They want to stay put. In the winter months and cold weather, that's just due to them being lethargic, inactivity. They just don't have the energy, don't want to spend the energy to move because heck, they're in the mud. They're comfortable. They ate maybe yesterday and they're still full. They just, the feeding bell just isn't on.
They're in a conservation mode. It's they can't go out and expend tons of energy. That makes them have to go hunt more. Then that makes them use more energy. And unless they've got a significant food source that is easily available, which right now creek mouths seem to be, at least on our river, the way things are dropping, creek mouths seem to really have a lot of bait at them.
Yep.
And so we checked out a lot of creek mouths today. Some of them we couldn't fish just due to. We went to a little Scioto today. It's got a really deep hole in it. It's a good sized creek. And we went downriver to it, and there was a guy fishing the bank. And on that, the deep hole actually is on the bank side where he was. So we didn't want to cut him off. So we went around him and went on downriver. We came back upriver. He was still there. Now there was a bass fisherman sitting on top of him.
Yeah. Fishing
him too. I'm like, man. But
I guess he didn't feel the same way about not getting in the guy's feet.
Yeah, maybe they knew each. I don't know what the situation was. I wasn't going to crowd him. The poor guy. Can you imagine being the guy on the bank and like, you got a boat, man? You got this whole freaking river.
Yep.
I'm sitting here in my own little slice, and you want to come up? Yeah, I've been mad.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. It happens to us every now and then. We'll have some bank fishermen along the banks of that hydro. And we're not nearly close to their lines. We're maybe another 100 feet or so out from where I think their lines may be. But you should see the looks on their face when we pass by and we hook a nice fish bumping pretty much right even with where they're at. Sometimes that's how it goes.
Yeah, there's a little bit of conversation here, sidebar with Whitey and Elgato about an east wind. And honestly, I don't know if that's more of a lake thing, but for river, it doesn't really seem to affect. I've never seen a significant, swing one way or the other.
Yeah, I think the wind thing is not only more of a lake thing because I think it moves the bait around a body of water, but I think that's very specific to the body of water. Some lakes may be great with an east wind, others are junk on an east wind. I think it's very specific to the body of water you fish. I know for me, The only time a wind blows a certain direction that I really don't like is during the summer with a strong south wind, 20-mile-an-hour south wind blowing against a strong current.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a very rough boat ride.
Yeah.
Very rough.
Bobcat's in the house. He said bumping. Did somebody say bumping?
Hey, somebody say bumping?
Check out Bobcat's new hat, man. Ain't that slick?
I like it. I know. I like it. If you say bumping 3 times, Bobcat will show up in chat.
I think we said it more than 3 times.
Probably so.
I think I'm going to try to get him make me one of these in orange. Put Muskrat on that thing. We did several private lives while preparing for the tourney. Yep. How would you fish a real snaggy place? Well, G-Style, that really depends on what we're talking about. So we're talking about anchoring, dragging baits, and we're talking about suspend drifting. So every one of those scenarios is going to require a different answer. So if you have a scenario or a situation in mind, we can tune in on that.
Yeah, and even sometimes exactly what you're fishing for. If you're fishing for yellowcat or flathead, you may approach it different than if you're trying to catch some blues or if you're trying to catch some channels. Each one has its little different approach to it.
So for me, and most, I'm just going to say anchoring. For me, if I'm throwing into some real heavy cover, real snaggy area, I'm going to use a 3-way rig with a dropper loop with a lighter line, so that if I do get hung up, my sinker can break away, and I can either get the rest of my rig back, or I can get there's another good option there. I can get my rig back, or if it's got a fish on it, I can get my fish. And there's another great answer is just float the baits.
Absolutely.
Suspend them underneath the float. One of the things I really like to do is suspend, put bait underneath the float, and then just let line out until it gets clear back to the structure, whether it's a log jam. Today I could have used one. I didn't have one on the boat, but I could have used one to float my rig back to that sunken barge. Aaron, Catfish Regulators, what's going on, buddy? He was in the chat today hanging out.
Got one on the wall right there behind me, one of them Patriot Ghost floats. Yeah. Comes in very handy in those situations.
I gotta get the ghost floats. I think I got a couple of the old school originals.
Yeah.
But I think Justin Mullador actually gave me one of his ghost floats, and I don't know if it's lost because of me moving around or if it's just been lost by being lost. But yeah, the float is another great way to do it. Obviously, if you're dragging, there's a million different dragging weights out there. So it all comes down to personal preference as far as what works best for you. But what else was it? Suspend drifting. Honestly, if you're real snaggy, one of the things that we do sometimes is hang a dragging weight at the bottom of my suspended rig. And that way, if we do start bumping into stuff, that it's less likely to get hung up right away. But honestly, most of the time I like to use a cannonball when I'm suspended.
Yeah.
I got you, James. I'll give you a call.
Yeah, because certain shapes of sinkers, I know the coin sinkers that I love to use are kind of notorious for that in certain situations. When you try to suspend them, they tend to twirl in the current. So having something that's symmetrical, we're going to use big words today.
Somebody write that down.
I know, right? Use something that's the same shape. Something round, a bank sinker, cannonball, something like that. It's going to keep that line from twisting up on you.
There's Pat with Twisted Tackle Fishing.
What's happening?
Otherwise known as Ed Trained Fish Too.
They were asking Bobcat how he did it for the tournament. He said, trained fish. Took me a while to get him to sit and wait.
What was I saying before that? I caught my... I was talking about Pat. Twisted, previously known as Real Beasts.
Yes.
Previously known as Real Beasts. So if you guys haven't followed along with Pat there, he's he's kind of gone a different direction, and he's starting a new adventure with Twisted Tackle Fishing.
Awesome.
Still affiliated with Real Beasts, but it's kind of growing and doing its own thing, and he's trying to branch out. So if you guys haven't recognized or you didn't recognize who Twisted Tackle Fishing is, it's Pat. It's always been Pat. Yeah. So I guess in Avid's, I don't have all the details, so I'm going to just kind of piece together what I know. And I imagine there's going to be a lot of fill in the blank. But during Avid's last tournament, I guess the women got frisky and wanted to call out some of the guys. And then they decided, let's just do a tournament with girls versus the guys, which that had to be their idea, because there ain't no way guys are going to throw that idea out there.
Yeah. To my knowledge, this has never been done. I don't ever remember something like this happening.
No.
Not that I remember.
Not that I know of. But it's picking up steam, and the ladies are having a lot of fun with it. And so there's been some challenges issued. Now, I offered a week or so ago, if any of the ladies wanted to come up and do a call out or a challenge on the channel, they could do it here. I know that Avid kind of was the originator, or where the thought process came from. So I'm not sure what affiliation he still has there. I know he's wanting to, he announced that he was going to kind of stop doing tournaments for a while. He was wanting to go back to doing the angler or the fishing hangouts, which were always fun. It was just a laid back atmosphere, no competition, just all get together and fish together like friends. But so the ladies, I told them that I'd help if they need help. If they need a place to host, we can host, and Jeremy's available. I'm sure Jeremy wouldn't mind hosting.
It'd be hard. It'd be hard to do while I'm fishing it, though.
Yeah, well, I was getting ready to say I've been called out by Uptown Chrissy Brown. She's been throwing threats my way, and I like Bobcat's. Comment there. He says you can't win. There's no winning. What are you gonna do? Put yourself in my shoes.
I'm the only one that has an out. I'm the only one that has an out.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because if I get my rear end handed to me, at least I can say, oh, well, I got beat by a professional tournament angler.
Yeah.
A little bit of an out.
Yeah, the Paul's a heck of an angler. You can leave the female out of it because it doesn't matter. She can hang with anybody, male, female, cat, dog, doesn't matter. She puts in the work, and she's definitely got the heart and the passion for it. So
yeah, without a doubt, that is going to be my biggest challenge I've faced so far. I don't think anybody would argue that one.
There you go. He says a call out is a call out. I won't take it easy on anyone.
I feel the exact same way. I'm going into it with my foot to the floor.
Yeah, I don't know how this is all going to work out, but
I heard from what I've heard, because the ladies have a chat going on all their own. They're communicating with each other. From what I understand, they're kind of in the process of discussing and see what the rules are going to be. I believe the direction they're going is one set of rules for everyone.
Yeah.
But this will be kind of it won't be, I don't believe this is going to be a team versus team thing. I think this is going to be, everybody on screen, but like a bunch of 1 versus 1s, let's say.
Right.
That's the feeling I'm getting from what I've heard.
Brian B says, Brian B might have caught the end of it there.
Yeah,
thinking that Mike said he got called out, but I don't think Mike got called out yet.
I don't believe.
Not officially. I don't think he.
Not yet.
Chrissy says, I don't want no one to take it easy on me. Okay.
So far on the men's side, we have myself, we have Roger, we have Brian B, who I believe Missy Kennedy called out, correct? And I don't know who else got called. Oh, Stan. Stan got called out, I believe, if I remember right. I think Miss Tanya Hollis called out Stan too. If I'm somebody may correct me in here, but I think that's what we're dealing with so far.
I thought Jody called out Jeremy's tournament cats.
That's right. I forgot about that one. That's right.
Things are really kind of shaking up. So we'll see how things go. I don't know how many females are local here, but I would throw a challenge out. If you're not called out, or even if you are called out, and then there's an opportunity to Joey for one of the ladies on your off day, if you're not fishing already, then I would challenge you guys to offer your services. Amy called out Ryan Moore. Oh, that's a tall order there.
Yeah, I literally, he's a giant. He's a very tall human being.
7 foot. I know. I'm not very tall, and ran into him at the James River, and I was like, "Dang, dude!
Yeah,
how do you fit in these kayaks all day?"
Yeah, he's a beast. So this is shaping up. I'm liking where this is going. Definitely.
Chrissy says I will show no mercy, and I think she's been listening to Daryl a little too much.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, Catfish and Crappie, what's going on, buddy? I think she's got a little too much WWE in her because she's been laying the smack talking down.
Yeah.
And I just don't know what to do about it.
What's up, Richard?
Hey, Richard, what's going on, buddy? Uh-oh. Real Gals Fish. She just says, I call out Mark.
Uh-oh. Mm-hmm.
Danny Stone says, I wouldn't even challenge a Girl Scout right now.
Oh, come on, Danny.
Well, luckily, this is looking for spring. And so I have a little more confidence come spring than I do right now. Now, wintertime, once things stabilize, I think we got a pretty good shot as anybody. We catch quite a few fish, and we catch more and better fish in the wintertime than we do the rest of the year.
See, we didn't really have a fall bite this year because we didn't have a fall.
No,
straight from summer to winter. We didn't have much of the fall bite. It might have been like 4 days. That's what my fall fishing season was, about 4 days, and I was at work. So the
fall already fell. It's done.
Yeah, that's it. Done. I think we did the fall transitions show 3-4 weeks ago. Now we're talking about winter fishing and rising water. So yeah.
We got way off track.
Yeah.
There was something else I was going to get into tonight, but matter of fact, it's already 9:00. Tag on.
Hey, it rolls. It passes fast.
It gets going fast. It does. One of the things that me and Jeremy always try to make sure of is try to make sure we stay in tune with chat and what's going on in chat. Questions that pop up, just current events and things like that. So we try to make sure that we stay current with what's being said out there and make sure that everyone feels included. And so I will say that this Saturday, the Ohio River versus the Cooper River.
Yes.
Which the teams are consisted of the Ohio River team of Chad Fields with D, maybe. We got rain. We got 50 degrees and rain this weekend is what we're looking at. Not going to be the most desirable situation. But so we got Chad will be out there. J-Dog will be out there. Mr. Bumpin' Mike Greenwell will be out there on the water. And then the River Warriors will be together fishing as one team. So that will be the Ohio River team. On the other side for the Cooper River, you will have Freddie's Outdoor Adventures, and I believe he is fishing with Jeremy's Tournament Cats.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Kevin, Palmetto Cats. He's the team captain. I'm not sure. I think he said he was going to fish with his preacher friend, possibly. So you got Kevin, you got Jimmy Smith. If you guys remember, was it fishing and gear? Huh?
Yeah. I was thinking about his drifting weight company, Santee Drifters.
Yeah, he used to run Santee Drifters. He's kind of put that to the side for now.
Mm-hmm.
And then also K&B Anglers Kevin.
Yes.
So Kevin has only, I think, fished up there a couple of times. Freddie has only ever fished there twice. Actually, when he accepted this challenge, he had never fished that river, ever.
Mm.
I don't know who fishes that river.
Well, we're gonna find out. That's for sure.
Brian says he's going to have the Cooper River on tomorrow at 8 o'clock. I mean, Brian's hosting the show. I don't know if that's favoritism or what. We're going to have to make sure we keep an eye on the scoreboard going into Saturday.
Well, I happen to be co-hosting the event with Brian, so we'll level it out. No favoritism there.
So it's going to be fun. We don't know how it will end up, just like this last weekend. Man, the battle between the James and the Tennessee was a great. I love seeing a close match. It's no fun when, unless you're the one running away with the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as a viewer, watching a close competition back and forth like those guys had it was a really fun stream to watch. But the the Tennessee River did pull it out and it ended up winning that round. But James River has a very stout bag weight going into the losers bracket. I think they got a real good chance of getting back in.
Basically what's going on Saturday, we've got 2 spots that are up for grabs here. Of course, the winner of the battle. Obviously, regardless of weight, the winner of the battle gets, let's say, the number 3 spot. But being the James River in the losers bracket put up 175 pounds and some change, one of the losers will move on to round 2. Whoever has the highest weight. Now, whoever loses Saturday, if they somehow get 176 pounds or more, then they too will move on to round 2. If not, if they can't do that, then the James River moves on to round 2. So 2 interesting situations going on here.
That's right.
Oh, I saw something out the corner of my eye, something about my name and being impartial. What the
heck? Stan said there will be a unbiased co-host on that show.
Which one?
See about that.
Nah, well. Hey, it doesn't matter how biased or unbiased I am. I can't help them catch fish. So hey.
Why do you want to know where the Cooper is? The Cooper is in South Carolina. So those guys are going to have a lot warmer water to deal with.
Yep.
A lot more stable water to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're still calling for some rain. Hey, there's Shizzle. What's going on, Brandon? But it's like this. How much weight did the Mississippi?
Somebody time out Thomas real quick for me, please. 8.14 pounds.
19.
Okay. 8.19 pounds. Yeah. So Brian B loves hearing me say that.
Yeah.
He loves hearing me say that. So,
but that's the thing. Going into Saturday, we're going to have a good time. We love talking smack and dishing it out and taking it back and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's going to be entertaining. We're going to have a good time, regardless of what's going on. 70 degrees and dry, and we got 40 degrees and wet. Yeah. Hey. Oh.
That's okay.
Hey,
look, you know what? I'm going to let Brian have his moment because all of last year, I don't know how many times I reminded Brian about the 5 pounds that I beat him by. So you know what? I'm going to let him have his moment. There's nothing wrong with that.
You're saying it's kind of karma at this point.
It is a little bit.
Yeah. So it's good. Yeah, guys, it's going to be a good time. It will be hosted on Brian B's channel. Of course, Brian B has got the Cooper River on tomorrow. He wants to hang out and talk with them privately, I guess, or publicly. Actually, it's public, not private. But we'll be sure to tune in tomorrow for that as well. And by the time you guys see us next week, we'll be talking about the results.
Yes, and hopefully Roger won't come on screen like I had to with a bag over his head. Just saying. Hopefully.
Oh, Brian B just went ahead and
yeah, that's okay though.
190. Okay. Tennessee, what they end up over 200, didn't they?
Every time I hold this one, I feel a little bit better about it. So that's okay. He can have that one.
Yep. Yeah. I hated to watch that. It was very heartbreaking.
Hey, it's fishing. That's how it goes.
Yeah. The situation you guys were in, it is what it is.
Yep. That's it.
I took home a big fat skunk today, and it could possibly happen again this weekend. That's just part of it. So,
yep,
we're going to give it our all. There will be no lack of effort on any of the team members' part. I can make sure of that.
But a lot at stake here. Like I said, we've got 2 spots at stake here, so there's a lot of little things to watch. A lot of developments going on. A lot of smack talking going back and forth between this. It's good. Oh, it's going to be
good. He's right. Thomas said, I believe Stan 2 had the same weight as Creole did.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was Danny. He's the one that caught that one fish.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
So after y'all lose Roger, will next week's show be called the Bag Boys episode?
Oh, boy. Can't catch a break. That'd be all right.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Tennessee had 201. James 175.
And that's tight. I mean, you got to figure that's 26 pounds. That's one fish. That's tight. It really is. One fish could have changed that real quick. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that too. I just refused to read
it. Oh, Mikey.
Oh.
Now the name of the game right now is to get fresh bait. Make sure we've all got fresh bait ready to go. Unfortunately, everybody, poor Mike's so far away from everybody. I don't think we're able to help him out. I can probably get a bunch of bait. I plan on taking my boat and getting bait Thursday to fish Friday and probably Saturday too. And I could help Chad and J-Dog if they needed it. So if that's what it takes to get it one, that's what we'll do.
Hey, team Mary, I was in the same situation. I live so far away from everybody else that, hey, just on your own. That's just how it is.
Oh, Brian, I forgot all about that. Dang it. I meant to do it today out on the water.
Oh.
I'll do it. I'll get it done. I'll get it done.
Man.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap things up. I'm going to get out and go fishing in the morning. I'm going to go try this new area and see if I can't get different results.
I'll be thinking about you at work, I guess.
I don't know if it'll be a contender for Saturday. It's an area that none of us really. Well, Skip and I used to fish it quite a bit together before I moved all the way down here. It's like an hour and some drive. And Zach I don't think Zach really likes that pool at all. It's been pretty mean to him. So
yeah,
I know about its potential. And every time I go scrolling through my videos, I run into videos where we've had epic days down there. So there's always that chance.
Yep. There's fish there. You just got to figure out where the hungry ones are.
Yeah. Yeah. After the last 2 days down here, the beating I got, I'm ready to try something different.
Yeah.
And
it's no use sticking with it if you ain't got no confidence in it.
That's right.
Nope.
Harold Bolton. That's right. Gallipolis. Well, I'll be putting in at Crooked Creek, Point Pleasant. I'll be putting in at Crooked Creek and the Kanawha River, and then I will head out onto the Ohio. I got some spots. I got some spots to check out before I make a run upriver. So Thanksgiving this Thursday. Make sure you guys tune in and check out the bake shop Thursday night. Chad and Freddie will be doing their Black Friday specials. So I know Chad's been working pretty hard. Freddie probably hasn't done anything to help out with the show, but Chad's been working diligently to put together some Black Friday specials and deals for everybody. So be sure to tune in then. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Please be careful and be safe out there on your travels. And take a moment to think about all the things, all the blessings that we have, and all the things, the reasons we have to be thankful. So
that's right.
We will see you guys next Tuesday night. Same cat time, same cat channel. Good night, everybody.
Bom peixe, everybody.
Oh, Mike.